Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Rideshare Rodeo Podcast. Uber faces almost $1 billion, and by that I mean like 966 million, um, for automated deactivations. Something they do here too. So is it being looked into? Absolutely, it is. DoorDash insiders selling shares. China professor says gig work is just a form of welfare. Um, Instacart safety versus empathy. And Grubhub starting to send out the checks to 630,000 plus customers and drivers that it misled or stole from. They're having to put out 24 plus million dollars. That's Grubhub. You heard me right. Right on the other side.
Well, midnight headlight, blinding on a rain night, Steve Grade up ahead, slowing down, making no time. I gotta keep it rolling. Those are windshield wipers slapping out the tempo, ready for the rhythm with the song on the radio.
Welcome to the Rideshare Rodeo audio podcast, video podcast, whatever you want to, whatever your poison is. Audio podcast, pod players, welcome. YouTube Live, Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, Twitter Live, and up here again on the upper, we got TikTok Live. Still haven't found the way to incorporate you guys, but we are live on TikTok as well. So welcome everybody. Yeah, we got some topics for today, for sure. Let me see who's. I see people passing through. It's hard for me to watch the TikTok one. I see Bubba Sue calling me out. Hey, thank you very much, Rachel. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Never necessary, but always helpful. Hey, Sue. Hey, Jared. Rick, what's up, Traveler? Um, and what's up, everybody over here on TikTok and on the other platforms. If remember on X, if you want to come in and chat, I will see it in the stream here. It's a double tap the screen, and then the comment box will come up. It's a little tricky just because it's strange. And if you're over on Facebook on the group, you should be seeing it. And that should just be a direct chat, and I'll see it over here in the live as well. And then for audio podcast, so leave your comments wherever you listen to audio podcasts, or email me, steve@ridesharerodeo.com. Most of you know that on the audio side. So, but um, yeah, that's it. Kim from Chicago, what's up? And Chi-Town Mike and Ron. If you guys don't know, go gig it now, Ron. Ron lived in Massachusetts and he's moved to North Carolina since, and he is going to be on the podcast with me next week. He's going to be my guest. I don't always have a guest on the rodeo podcast. Sometimes it's just me. I do a thing on Thursday with another person, I, but Ron is going to be a guest on the Rideshare Rodeo podcast, and he's been on here one other time before, and he helped a lot during the transparency battles. So, I don't know. If you guys aren't familiar with Ron, get familiar with him. If you're not on YouTube, I don't know if you would be, maybe from Twitter. I'm not sure. Um, but we're going to be talking. I have a bunch of, I asked him to be on. I have a reason why, because Ron understands some of the things going on. And I want to talk about the differences, because when all that stuff happened with the 3250 that nobody gets in Massachusetts, nobody. Again, it's active time. So you couldn't unless you're active all of the time, and nobody's active all of the time. So that's it. We got a lot of platforms. We got a lot of people tuning in from different platforms. Thank you guys, all of you, for tuning in. So first of all, we'll go through actually, let me tell you this first. So 2 weeks, next week is Ron as my guest. The week after is Labor Day. I will be live on Labor Day, and I am getting help from GigU for getting in touch with members of agencies, I'm putting them in touch with legislators and lawmakers, and we've just kind of formed a nice relationship here for a little bit. So we're going to be doing some stuff together, and that day something huge launches. So we're putting this all together, and we're also pulling our resources. And if you're not familiar with GigU, you will be, but here soon I'm going to be doing a lot on them. But if you are, you might not be familiar with the part that I'm as interested in, which is that GigU basically was the first company to get sued by Uber for doing something that helped the drivers, and they won. GigU is from Brazil. I've had them on the podcast before, and now they're here in the United States and they're moving to other countries. But they were the first company doing anything that Uber didn't like regarding transparency, all that stuff. I mean, Gary Middleton does it as well. And there's some others, but those are the only two I would take the time to mention. But so I would say that, listen, normally if a company gets sued by Uber for these kind of things, or finding how, why are you doing this? And Uber wants you in the middle of an intersection, by the way, when you're making a decision on a rideshare, especially. Uber Eats, maybe not as much, but on a rideshare, they want you in the intersection. They want a 3-second answer in an intersection, so you just say yes. Well, there's a lot of ways to combat this, and GigU and even Mr. Middleton himself, Gary'sApps.com. Check that out. But again, they are going to be helping me, and already have, with putting me in touch with some people that we need to talk to. So you guys over here on the YouTube and anything coming through StreamYard side, if you have any questions as we go, please leave them. Questions, concerns. And then another thing, I'm going to be telling you guys every week, there's all kinds of new stuff coming. But another thing that I solidified this weekend was with Sergio from the Rideshare Guy. So once a month, I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with Sergio. I don't tell people to go look at how other people do finances, or, like, well, yeah, go see this guy if you want to learn about finances. I believe in reading, looking into it yourself, investigating it through some of the trading sites themselves, or through the NASDAQ site or the Dow, or you got to educate yourself. A lot of people do things to get you to join groups, but Sergio's been in the gig economy forever. He also, prior to that, was a trader for a long time. And so he actually was, a floor trader for a while. So he fully gets this. And he started a site called SergioAvedian.com. Yes, that was a shameless plug for him, but he's been a friend for a long time, so I guess it's not that shameless. But SergioAvedian.com. The thing is that I brought up to Sergio this weekend. I was talking to him and I said, it's definitely great for other people who are at your level or just under your level. I said it's some of it I've watched and listened to a few. It's hard for newbie people to jump in and say, oh, okay, well, this is where I've jumped in, and I'm not, this isn't one of my strongest points either. So what I asked him to do is, I asked him, I said, I'd be your guinea pig. Like, he's been posting how he put $1,000 into a Robinhood account and how he grew that over some months into 23,000 or whatever it is now. But again, even he says that's not common. That's not normal. But that was an advanced thing. So what he's going to be doing over here is, I offered to be his guinea pig for him, for his channel. He might use some of this content, but we'll be doing it here, where he's going to come on once a month for a half hour. And if you know Sergio, a half hour with Sergio, it goes by quick because you can't shut that guy up, but in a good way. But it'll be covering 1 to 2 different things a week and going a lot slower. So once a month, 30 minutes. Yeah, if you're interested in learning some investments from a very ground up level, tune in. It's going to be something cool. There's a lot more cool stuff coming too that I just can't announce yet, but we're getting there. Every week I'm going to be dumping some stuff on you. And don't forget to add your name to the link. I don't even have it in front of me tonight, of course, but if you haven't already checked it out, please add your name to the Drivers for Transparency. So I will get that up into a short. on TikTok. I will get that into the show notes of all of the everywhere you guys are watching these from, whatever your poison is. So I guess first things first is let's see, let's shut that. Okay, so let's get into this. Uber faces a nearly a $1 billion fine over automated driver suspensions because, and we've even been saying this time and time and time and time again, is that like lately I've been telling you guys that it's nothing's a drop in the bucket anymore. We used to say drop in the bucket, right? So I nothing's a drop in the bucket. People are like, oh, $8.5 million to the one first sexual assault victim, and only 5,000 to the second, and the third case is coming up, but 3,000 cases have turned into 4,000. So they're growing. Uber is very worried about this. And everybody's like 8.5 million to the one girl. That's nothing. That's a drop in the bucket. It's not a drop in the bucket. They're a publicly traded company, and they're struggling. I know that we always you might hear it from a lot of different angles that they're not struggling, but they are struggling. If you know anything about this, you've been following the space, they're struggling hard. But there's a lot of $100 million lawsuits. There's a lot of $25 million lawsuits, or this or that or the other. But now Uber is facing a $1 billion fine over automated suspensions. So the Dutch Data Protection Authority is fining Uber 825 million euros, which is around, I think that's Europe. Yeah, I think that's, yeah. So around $966 million USD. The second largest penalty issued so far under Europe's General Data Protection Regulation. We already dealt with the last one last year. You guys might remember we talked about it at length, and the amount wasn't the same. But they're saying that Uber has deactivated driver accounts through an automated process without sufficient warning or human oversight, like we have in Colorado. We have the transparency laws, and we have the human deactivation challenge, and a lot of you states are pushing for it, and we're trying to make it work for all of you, but and get with all these lawmakers and other things, and that's part of the conversation with KU and whatnot. But it's not there yet, and right now it's simply a matter of being able to point fingers until the algorithm is pointing at itself, if that makes sense. So you can debate this to death. You can say that, well, they're I'm sure there's a reason. For years they've got away with this kind of stuff, but the problem is that now why is this freezing so bad? Is it? Hold on one second, TikTok. Anybody else? Maybe it's not. It's just doing that weird thing for me. Okay. So Uber argued that most driver suspensions are brief. First of all, I don't really know about that. I found that to be weird. So Uber's immediate response is that most driver suspensions are brief. I know of deactivated or deactivated, and sometimes deactivated that even without driver getting involved, it says, you get an email a couple months later and it's like, hey, you were sorry about that, you're back on. I've never, we've beat around this before, but I've never heard Uber say it brief. But first of all, it's not most. Most are deactivations, straight and clear. I don't know how often they suspend people. If somebody in any of the chats wants to say that they were suspended and they knew it, that's the other thing. Did you get deactivated and then you found out you were back on it later, or were you actually suspended and told, no, you're suspended? That's it. I mean, you'll be back on in 2 months. I just don't think they do that. And I think that this data thing that they're doing over there in Europe is actually going to catch them in another lie here. And it says that no permanent, this was their Uber, no permanent deactivations take place without human review. I'm sorry to say that is complete BS, because we already know that they do. That's why we have it here in Colorado, that you can challenge it. I mean, I've many times spoken with many people. One of my favorite examples is a Dasher named Nova. It's Nova Hustles now, but it used to be Nova Dash or Nova Dasher or whatever, and now I can't even remember. But it's Nova Hustles. But Nova was at 25,000 plus dashes and was deactivated on a day he didn't even turn the app on. So there's lots of things you can form from these, but I'm surprised this is the tone that Uber's taking. Usually they get very aggressive and they're defensive, and that's not what happened. But I think that somehow this new data that they're getting through personaldata.io is actually in public is actually a problem for Uber. Because yes, without warrants and RICO cases and things that are happening behind the scenes, you can't get their actual information because it's proprietary. You can say that, you can say this is an issue, or, we think this is happening, but it's like somebody had, I saw somebody on TikTok even who made a TikTok about, and it was a kind of a newer account. I see a lot of Waymo videos on TikTok, and I saw one that said, if you're hit by a Waymo, it was just a person, a new account, said if you're hit by a Waymo, make sure to sue them, because you are actually able to sue the company and get paid out immediately. I immediately commented on this thing and said incorrect. I said that is a product liability case. If it's a driverless vehicle, you cannot sue Waymo. People have been trying. That's just false. So don't put that out there. I mean, I am sure that Waymo has settled on a couple of cases with a couple of extreme people, like the little girl they hit in LA, or the pedestrian they killed in Dallas's family. But even those were settlements, the kind that keep it out of the paper and whatnot. On the average day to day, they don't even get tickets. You guys need to, anybody who thinks otherwise, you need to wake up. Waymo is on the road with us, yes. They are not technically responsible. And like we've had Legal Rideshare on here many times. Bryant at Legal Rideshare has told us straight up, listen, you're going to be dealing with a product liability case. If there's not a driver there, all the laws that the states they're in say that, well, you need a driver in the car. Problem is that the law isn't following that part of the law. They're allowing these companies to pay to not have a driver in the car. Well, that screws up. This is that domino effect. That screws up everything else. Because if you're allowed to have a driver, if you're not allowed to have if a driver has to be in the car for the car to get a ticket, but there's no driver in the car, that's why there's no tickets. Even in Arizona. I mean, there was that whole study was crazy. Yeah, you guys, again, everything goes into Discord after the live. I put all the links to the stories that I use. And if I was talking about something about me or something else, obviously there won't be a link in there, unless I have something that I want to share with you about that or whatever. But all the links to the stories for the details for some of this is what's going on. But here's the biggest problem is this, because of the way this was formed in Europe, or I don't even know if it's a problem. Uber's going to lose this case. Uber's going to lose $1 billion on this case. And if it was, if it was any, if it was any years prior, go back more than 2, I would say they'd take it out of the driver's cut, but there's no more to take. Like, that's why I say every dollar matters now. Investors want to see profits. Investors want to see market by market research. They want to know why on earth, or, what was it, 3-quarter earnings ago, they said that, We want to know, can somebody who's working full time, which they're doing, can somebody who's working full time on the app make a living wage? And Uber denied the investors that right. Well, there's a threshold. Uber's traded on the Dow, Lyft is on the NASDAQ. It depends on which company and where they are. But on the Dow, you have to have like 5% or something of your investors who request details. And they have like 7.6 that are demanding these details. So there's actually a request into the exchange commission to make sure that they can see that data, because Uber kind of put it like, we show you enough data, don't worry about it. Well, Uber lies about everything during their earnings quarter. So we have a guy down here in the TikTok world that says my ongoing I think his deactivation has lasted over 3 years now due to an old background check. Rick, I would tell you to call Checker. I'm sure you have, man, but I don't know. Do you have a Checker account? I don't know if even everybody knows that. Here's 2 things you guys should have. If you're doing gig work, you should have a Checker account. If you're a living human being that makes money and pays taxes, you should have an IRS account. They're free, and you can log in and see anything that you need to see. So I recommend everybody does that. It also protects your identity, like better than some of these companies that say we'll give you $1 million if you go with SafeLock or LifeLock or whatever these things are called. They're only protecting up to a certain point. With the IRS one, nobody's flying under the radar anymore. There's no reason not to have one, and you'll be alerted if there's ever an issue, and it can be corrected a lot faster. So that moves us along here. I want to move. I think I put the flow correctly. To those of you who don't know, my son went back to college this weekend, so I am kind of putting it. I mean, I'm just getting back in the saddle, but I did get everything down. Just hoping it's in the right order. So this is another big thing. This is from today. DoorDash insiders sold shares worth over $11.2 million. So while DoorDash is high in the last year, is it year? Would it be year? Probably close here. Was like $276 a share. And right now, if this is from closing today, which I believe it is, they're at $229.06. But if you look back to like May, or beginning of June into mid-June, they were at 150, the lowest they've ever been at since they premiered and came above that. So, and I'm talking not year to date, I'm talking about all the way back. So something's happening, but let's at least get on record, since AI picks this stuff up. Let's get on record some of the people, their roles at DoorDash, and how much they sold off. Because there's a problem with DoorDash, and it's more than just I hate it, you 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 hate it. It's more than just we all hate it, but we sometimes use it. There's bigger problems. The growth just isn't there. When you look at Instacart's crushing it, and I'm not a fan, but Instacart does good time and time over. DoorDash is losing their foothold. I mean, DoorDash and Uber would both like to see something happen in the grocery space, and I know that they do have a little bit, but between Spark and Instacart, there's not a place for them. Uber might always have one because they got Corner Shop, but DoorDash is in kind of a weird position. So Lee Gordon is the chief accounting officer at DoorDash. He sold $642,236. And this was all since earnings call, which was what, 2 weeks ago, a week ago. He sold that. Adar Kar Prabir, who is president COO, sold $3,778,406 of his uh, DoorDash. And these are not little numbers. These are big chunks of what these guys own, and these are the positions they hold. When your own company don't believe in you, what's gonna um but so Keith Yandel, the CBO, the Chief Business Officer, sold 1,756,608. Um, Inu Kanda Ravi, who is the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, sold 4,303,271. He's the Chief Financial Officer, and he's selling off that many shares. And if you've listened to all these titles, everybody except for Tony Hsieh's in this damn thing. All the head people are just selling. Dude, they're not stupid. These are people with a lot of money. But so Shering Tia is the general counsel and secretary. She sold $1,696,377 worth. Now, if you're thinking like, well, but that happens. These people sell these off once their clauses come up or whatever. Yeah, but show me another earnings call where where your CAO, your chief accounting officer, your president and COO, your chief operating officer, your chief business officer, your chief financial officer, and your general counsel and secretary. Show me where they all sold, except for one. I just want to make sure. Except for one, every one of them sold well over $1 million. Some of them up to 4. I mean, and that was the CFO that sold 4 million. You guys gotta be kidding me. This is a company that is horribly run. I think that, and again, it's not that these people are stupid. I think that they see there's no room for growth anymore. There's just no room for growth. I mean, you can't grow, but something's been propping it up. And but it's not forever. I mean, there's a comment down here too that I was looking for too, because somebody sold the comment is gone, or I can't find it. Another person put in the comments about somebody selling something else, and there was another comment to it, but I don't see it at the time. I just wanted to point that out because, guys, that's a big deal. Like, every time there's a quarter ending and we go through it, it's people do sell some of the shares. However, not like this. I've never seen this before. And I see Derek down here saying, well, it depends. If all of their shares matured at the same time, that would make sense. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Most of these, I think, are Class A common stock. We have yeah, in fact, they might all be. But they also, by the way, they all sold at the same price. They all sold at $220.62, which is the highest it's been since November of 2025. I don't know. To me, that's yeah, we'll see. See, this is why that Sergio piece will be good for us. Maybe he'll get into some of the, well, part of that is this, and this, because I see it as I think a lot of us see it. Just saying. So, okay, this one's it. This one, I do want some feedback on this one from all you guys. So, we've dealt with these before. I know some of you, in fact, one in particular, Sue, my moderator, my sniper, my co-captain, she has seen a kid out there doing gig work with a parent. This is not about any apps this isn't about an app that she was talking about or anybody else. This is just a story out there. So this one's regarding Instacart. Okay. And so a lady who ordered food reported an Instacart driver for delivering groceries with a kid. And what ended up happening was her post quickly turned into a viral lesson in empathy. I actually have some weighing in to do on this. And I'm not real thrilled because I understand empathy fully. In fact, I think I practice it all the time. However, um, the groceries, first of all, the groceries were left at the front of the porch, but let's get past all the little things. She put the post on Threads. If you guys aren't familiar, Threads is part of Instagram. I'm not even really sure I'm on Threads. I'm not really sure how it works. I don't do it, but now there's over 11,000 comments on this post, and so the original post showed a photo of the groceries that are at the edge of a walkway. And it's a big walkway to their porch. So they didn't even bring them up to the porch. It's kind of like where it meets the sidewalk. And she caught this on her Ring cam being delivered by a woman accompanied by a child. The caption showed her outrage for such behavior by a working parent. Can someone tell me where in the Instacart guidelines it says you can bring kids with you? That's what the user wrote, adding that she had reported the driver because, as she put it, because not on my watch. I understand this might get the empathy going. And I understand this is not a Karen situation. She might be a Karen. I have no idea, but this is not a Karen situation. She is asking a very important question because, and maybe it hits harder to me because I've done the podcast for so long and I've been doing all these episodes and we've seen so many of these that I'm not just talking about bringing the kid to work with you. I'm talking about the dangers of it. Now, and I'm not accusing her of this, but most of the time parents leave infants in the car. On top of like, you're just not supposed to do that because of heat and air. But we know of cars that have been stolen with babies in the back because they left it running while they ran up to do a delivery. So not even turning the car off. I mean, we gotta get this straight, but there's a difference between empathy and what the hell are you doing? I understand you need to make a living, but I can actually attest to this. I had to give up my living when I got divorced and when I took sole parenting of my child, who's now in college. I just took him there. So I had to change my whole lifestyle. I had to get out of the bar industry. I had to do this, that, the other. I had to reinvent the wheel 300 times over. I never put him in jeopardy while I was figuring it out. And I understand everybody's problems might be a little different, but find somebody else that has a kid. Trade babysitting hours. Do something. But you cannot bring your kid with you to work. You can't leave a kid in the car. I think this even reflects badly on us, the drivers who would never do this, because things like this people start catching on to this. Like, why is there a kid in the car, or the restaurant? Why is there a kid here? Like, that makes them upset. And the more they're already upset enough at these apps, we don't need to feed them more reasons to be mad. We just don't. But so one of the replies reframed the moment into something gentler and far more human. Had a father and son deliver our order one day, and the way the little boy beamed with pride erased any concern I may have had. Is that really I don't know what to say. Again, as a single parent who sole parented too, this is ridiculous to me. It does matter. It does matter. Several pointed out what parents already know too well. School is out, daycare costs can be prohibitive, uh, and gig work is often the only flexible option available. School is out, daycare is expensive, one user wrote. You ordered all these damn groceries and mad that the Dasher had some help unloading them? Well, it goes a little deeper than that there, buddy. Number one, Instacart isn't going to be any part of it if that kid trips on the property and gets hurt. Secondly, the kid isn't old enough to do work. So I understand, like, take your kid to work day where something's allowed. You're showing them for one day. But taking your kid to work every day because, and I get it, again, you can't challenge me because I single parented. So I've been there and I was there for many, many years. So my argument is I think it's wrong. I don't think there's any two ways around it. I think that you have to do what you have to do. If you have to take a job at a place that has childcare, there are a lot of those. Maybe you don't want to work in a warehouse and you think DoorDash should be better. But when we see these cars stolen and a kid's in it and stuff, maybe you should have taken the warehouse job that has daycare. Maybe the city you're in is so small, there aren't options. You're right. But guess what? Maybe you have to move. Things happen in life and you got to roll with it, but you can't just recreate the terms of service. And again, I hate them too, but you can't recreate the terms of service to how you want them to be and say, well, I'm exempt from that because I know what I'm doing and nothing's going to happen to my kid, because I guarantee that's what every other idiot said that took their kid out when something happened. And recently we also know that the Instacart shopper got caught beating their kid in the store. Not beating, but like spanking, kind of beating. I guess it was what was minor child abuse. She's being charged. Um, so I'm looking for, like, there's one person that said that here's another comment. Somebody comes in and says that they do this as well, that they have to dash with their kid. I would have been devastated and homeless if anybody ever reported me, is what they wrote. Anybody can be deactivated any day, even on a day you didn't work. So if you're going to be devastated and homeless because you got kicked off DoorDash, well, maybe it's time to get on another app or look for a different line of work, and especially with that kid in the mix. To me, this is okay. I'll put it like this. You all know how I feel about Uber Teen. It's illegal. Anybody doing it is not insured. Nobody. And if you are insured and you're doing Uber Teen and you have let your insurance agent know, please email me, steve@ridesharerodeo.com. Be happy to have you on the podcast anytime to talk about that, because I have reached out that it doesn't exist. The insurance doesn't even exist. Like a hop, skip, drive, like it exists for them because it's on a much different level. But anyway, I view it like that. And then trying to make it tweens, like 10-year-olds plus can ride an Ubers with now after the first 15 years, them paying you to cancel underage or unaccompanied minor rides. Now they're allowing it down to 10 years old, and there's already been sexual assault cases, abuse, all this. So it's about the dollar. We know that, but I was hoping to see if anybody had any weigh in on this. Kids don't belong working with parents. It's a safety and law. Absolutely. And I would say that look, this example's DoorDash, but down here, I would say that, of course, like, look, if the restaurant's you're putting the restaurant in jeopardy. But you could say, but I can take my kid in there and eat. Yeah, you can, because I've owned them. That's what they're there for. They're there to serve you. And as long as they're following their alcohol laws correctly and seating children where they should be, that's fine. Bringing them into work is not fine. It's not. But that's my opinion. I was hoping to see if anybody else had any opinions. I guess not. Maybe nobody was as taken by that as I was, because I think it's a big deal. I really do. And losing my voice a little bit here. Can I get through this one before the next? Yes. Perfect. We'll have a short break after this. But so 640,000 Grubhub customers and drivers are getting paid. So almost 650,000 Grubhub customers and drivers are getting payments from a $24 million settlement reached in 2024. So the Chicago-based food delivery company was ordered to change some business practices in response to allegations that it changed hidden fees and misled drivers. Shocker. DoorDash has been caught doing this all the time. Other companies have. When I said shocker, it actually is a little bit of a shocker that it's Grubhub, but the FTC stated or started sending checks this month already in August to 640,038 affected customers and drivers, totaling more than $23.8 million after Illinois Attorney General and the FTC settled with Grubhub in 2024. So Grubhub is, this is what Grubhub says. Grubhub is committed to transparency so that every single day diners, restaurants, and drivers can make well-informed choices, blah, 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 blah. Again, link will be in the Discord after the show. It doesn't say blah, 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 but it's the normal response. And then, so here's the bullet points of what you need to know about this. So the AG and the FTC allege that dating back to 2019, which is when we saw a lot of those DoorDash double dipping steals. DoorDash has been sued so many times for stealing tips. It's ridiculous. But Grubhub added nearly 325,000 restaurants to the app without the business's permission, forcing customers to order from the delivery company rather than from the restaurant directly. This has been something, I mean, DoorDash did it. We still haven't heard Uber Eats getting caught doing this, but they're not, I mean, any restaurant that is like, I mean, this happened a lot during the pandemic. They were adding restaurants and saying like, well, yeah, we got them on here now. You got to realize that not only does that mean, first of all, you can't do that. It's illegal. It's fraud and you're scamming the business. So you need to make a deal with a business if you're going to be in business with them. Makes sense, right? Well, this was happening a lot. They were just, during the pandemic, they were just putting them on. You got to realize that not only was it bad and unethical business, it meant that Grubhub, DoorDash, these other companies that were doing it were making way more money than they do now when they have to become partners with the restaurant because they didn't pay them anything. They just added them to the list. Diners, the complaint alleges faced higher fees and ordering problems, which in turn damaged the business reputation. And then ad campaigns for drivers in Chicago promised $26 an hour, but the median pay was actually $11. Just something to think about. I hate hearing that Grubhub's in this. I think that I've said this a few times, and I think that most people who have been around since pre-pandemic know this. But before the pandemic, food delivery wasn't even a thing. It was dead. And now it was at the pandemic when it boomed. But when pre-pandemic, Grubhub was the big one. Grubhub was the big one. They were DoorDash and Uber Eats were trying to make it work. Grubhub was the one that had the business and was transparent. It's crazy. You can't make this stuff up. But before we move on to the next segment, we're gonna take a quick media break here, you guys, and be right back with this.
Hey there, folks. Looking for those best deals in town? Come on down to Uber Emporium. We got deals and steals here. Officially forgotten miscellaneous stuff for us, direct from the passenger's back pocket to the seat of a random Uber to you. And we pass the savings on. We got deals and steals. Come on down. Everything's 50% off plus surge. You can pay through the app. Don't worry, you're probably getting charged for it anyways. We do get discounts for Uber Teen.
out there, if you can show that, yeah, you have to be, we don't care about unaccompanied minors in this store, let me tell you. Not that Uber does anyways. But anyways, let's get to the products here tonight. Today we're featuring candy, boxed and individual. We got this brand new, half-eaten, half-full box bag of Luden's cough drops right here. Wild cherry flavor, that's the best one. Tastes like candy. I like to rub it on my gums in the morning, keeps my teeth sharp. Anyways, we'll send you the whole bag, or if you just want a couple pieces, we can do that. We can make that happen too. We got prescription medication, over the counter and under the counter, and alongside the counter. What is this? This is just a box, but this is Tylenol PM, folks. So for those long Uber rides that you're gonna probably forget some more stuff and leave in someone else's Uber, yeah, don't worry. This could be yours. It could already been yours. Actually, if you forgot it in Uber, you know, here's your chance to buy it back. But we got Tylenol and Tylenol PM. Let's see here. That's it for medical stuff. Oh, hey, just this forgotten in an Uber Black SUV, but it was only occupied by one person. And not naming any names, but that person happens to be in a lot of legal trouble in the news. If I mention the name, you might be thinking like, oh, okay, well, yeah, they like to party a little too hard. This is a male urinal. So for those really long trips, this comes in handy. Let's see here. Can we get a close up on that? Yeah, boxed, ready to go. Some cleaning required, but yeah, this is a good one. Bathroom safety. It's all about bathroom safety. You know, you don't want to get those cleaning fees for just, you know, whatever the price we're going to let this one go for. Again, everything's 50% off plus surge. Discounts, well, yeah, there's discounts all the time. On the other hand, there's also surge all the time, so it kind of balances out. Anyways, come on down to Uber Emporium. We got everything. Come on down. We'll make a deal. Just call us in the app.
All right, so I was over here catching up while all of you other platforms except for TikTok, I was over here catching up with TikTok for a minute, and we actually have a hop, skip, drive driver in the TikTok comments right now. So, by the way, I know that I just moved past that topic, but if you have anything to say, I'd love to hear your take on working for Hop, Skip, Drive. Anything you might know about the insurance, if you feel like emailing me, steve@ridesharerodeo.com. So, okay. I think you guys saw this. These are just a couple short, kind of funny. And then we got a couple more that we're going to get into. But, so I'm sure that you guys heard about the commandeered vehicle in Houston. I don't know. I've seen so many articles on this. One of the things I hate, I mean, as much as, you know, you want as many different sources as you can have, but if you're watching it, these two cops are chasing this person on foot, and they commandeer a rideshare vehicle, an Uber driver, and they don't even, I thought when you commandeered a vehicle, you took control and drove it and somehow did it correctly. They just jumped in and were like, get him. Like, so this Uber driver, I guess, had permission to do whatever the police were saying. They were also, if you watch the video, they're out of breath. They get in the car, they're out of breath. So whoever they were chasing was obviously, I think they were all on foot, because I know the cops are. That's why they got in. But they were obviously having trouble catching this guy. And I'm not for crime. I'm not promoting. I'm just saying, you know, is this what it's come to? Like, Uber, stop, get them. I'm out of breath. Anyway, again, it'll be in the Discord. Some of these I just tell off real quick, and if you are interested or you haven't seen it yet, it's in the Discord. Let's see. What do we got next? Okay, so the South Florida bakery thief. You know, this stuff gets interesting. I talked to a client, actually. I talked to a catering customer who told me, I'm in Denver, and so a lot of the caterings I do are to hospitals and whatnot. I'm sure that's the case with a lot of us who do catering, but I talked to this lady who I was there to deliver. She wasn't there yet. I was there in the correct time, and she said to me, can you just wait?" And I had another catering, but I did have enough time. I wasn't real stoked about it because I had just set up. It was in the hospital. I get to the area and they tell me where to set up. But she said, "Could you just wait?" And I was like, "Well, how far are you?" And because I was just getting ready to pack out, go down the elevator and go out to my car. 5 minutes. She's like, 5, 10 minutes. I'm like, "Oh, perfect. Okay." I said, "Sure, I'll be outside though." So as I'm coming outside, it was just perfect because I saw her coming up and she was like, "Steve," and I was like, "Yeah." And I said her name, Lisa. I guess as long as I don't say her last name, but I said Lisa. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I said, "What's the issue?" And she goes, "I just wanted to let you know." She goes, "I just wanted to know that it arrived." And I said, "That the food arrived?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay." And I said, "Yeah, they had me set it up in this room and she was like, "Okay, yeah, yeah, I know where that." I said, Okay, well, yeah, I set it up." And she goes, "Well, just to give you some perspective, it's very weird for me because this is my third time using EasyCater." And um, and the first time I ordered, she said she ordered just under $1,000, which is what my order to her was too. So I'm guessing for her hospital staff, whatever she's doing, that's her common order. But she said I did it from Chipotle on Colfax. Well, this is a hospital way north of downtown. And so she put in the order, the driver didn't show, no rescue driver was applied, and EasyCater ended up offering her, because this was a bigger deal lunch or something, that she could go down there and get it. It was a 45-minute drive for her each way. They didn't have a rescue driver, nothing. That's how it went down. And the second time she used EasyCater, and she even told me, she goes, after that, I was pretty pissed. She goes, but I used them again, she said, and ordered about the same amount of food. And the driver never showed, but he picked the food up. And I said, "These are your only two experiences on the app?" I said, you got on EasyCater as a hospital administrator or something on that line. You created an EasyCater account and you've had two experiences and these are them?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay, well, your food today is here. It's up there." And I'm like, and I explained to her how, they're all fed to different carriers. I said, EasyCater doesn't have their own delivery team. I said, I said a lot of times the client doesn't know, but there's a lot of middlemen companies that step in and actually do the deliveries. So I kind of explained that whole breakdown to her, and she was literally shocked that I showed up. And she told me that had I not, and oh, by the way, for the second meal that didn't show, like $900 subtotal, EasyCater refunded her the whole amount of money. So it wasn't like she took a beating on that side. She's just, damn, the first time I got to go get it, and they give me like $100 credit towards the next time. The next time it doesn't show, they refund me back all my money. This time you're finally here. And so, yeah, I'm thinking to myself, dude, this is how on earth can EasyCater have the first two experiences out of the gate be that way? I understand it can happen. I was just, this is the kind of stuff where people doing bad things, people being fraudulent, people like creating bunk accounts, people doing things where they don't have to really be too accountable for what the hell they're doing because it's not theirs or somebody else's ID got them the account or whatever, or they just don't care. I mean, somebody, and I can think of a few ways this might have gone down, but somebody potentially gave up their job just to take $850 worth of food. Like, forget it, dude. I'll just quit and keep it. Obviously, I hate to say this because I would hope none of you would want to lose that opportunity to earn on any app, but obviously you can take it. Most likely, I mean, they can sue you, but most likely they're not gonna. They're just gonna deactivate you. But you know, I don't know. Like to me, I was surprised because I think most of anybody who's done any catering knows that uh, there are rescue drivers. We're out there. I mean, Easy Cater. Look, Easy Cater. I'm going to tell you guys something. I won't tell you which app. Some of you already know. I'll be doing a catering app, and it's not wrong. I didn't do anything wrong, but something happened, or something's needed, or something was forgotten there, and it's not going to get corrected even. Let's say, but somehow Easy Cater calls me directly, even though there's a middleman company who I'm actually contracting with. Easy Cater calls me. And I've even checked with said company, and they've been on the podcast before and said, you don't need to answer the Easy Cater calls. Weird, right? Like, I get that, okay. But so if they have all my information and all this, that, and the other, they should absolutely, in my opinion, in a big city, in every big city, or at least every biggest city out there in each state, they should be they should have an Easy Cater expediter, safety driver, rescue operator, like a guy who, if he can't get a guy out to you, he does it himself. Wrap the car in Easy Cater, so you're advertising, but you get your ass to Colfax, you get your ass up to the hospital, and you take care of this lady, especially when you're looking, and it's like, okay, this is her first order. And then the second order, you got a driver that doesn't show? Man, you should be refunding her, of course. Big hit, I understand, but this is the game. And then you should be offering her a free something. And 2 times? Okay. To me, that's just, I don't know. It's just a little ridiculous. But the reason I had brought it up was because on Uber Eats, a driver stole $3,000 in cinnamon rolls. I found this. I don't know. This a popular South Florida bakery says an Uber driver stole more than $3,000 of cinnamon rolls on Saturday. The bakery, which recently opened at the Yellow Green Farmers Market, has nearly 500,000 followers on Instagram and TikTok combined. In a now viral TikTok, the owner says that the Uber driver stole 300 cinnamon rolls that were they were bringing to the Saturday market. So he was supposed to take it to the people at the market, but then he just didn't show. Again, what we were talking about, but on this scale, that's why I wanted to talk about the catering side first. For those of you not on catering, I'm not going to plug any of them. I'm just going to tell you guys, look into it. If you do food delivery, especially, because you probably make more money than you do on Uber Eats and DoorDash. But my concern here is that Uber Eats or DoorDash, see, this is why I believe there are 5 times as many catering companies in the United States as there are food delivery apps. Or catering apps. So clearly everybody saw something that we all saw. Anything over 2 people's amount of food, and it was, like, just get catering. Well, what if it's only 4 people? Still, just get catering. It works out better. Is literally taking over the space. Well, I know that they used to have the large order program on DoorDash and this, that, and the other, but now I know they're doing them on Uber Eats too, because our friend on the other side of the Rocky Mountains from me over in Salt Lake City, he said that he recently has been doing them. Endorphin Factory is his handle on YouTube. But he's been saying that, he's getting them. Uber Eats. But, I mean, they get, why on earth, I hear a Florida story every week about Uber Eats, Serve Robotics, stupid Waymos, dumbass drivers, whatever it is. Why on earth are you trusting an Uber Eats driver in one of your cities where you have the most problems with your drivers? Why are you giving them $3,000 worth of cinnamon rolls? I'm just curious, because this seems like something that should be on a catering app. And I understand that Uber is calling this catering. My problem is I think you're going to get a lot of these type of people, like what happened to delivery number 2 for the catering client. You're going to get a lot of people on Uber Eats and stuff who just steal it. I think that's, one of the biggest failures why Easy Cater even needed to exist, because DoorDash was losing them. Or DoorDash was losing all of the orders. What's that? Oh gosh, it's got the little slide piece. Here we go. Anyway, guys, I'm still testing over here on TikTok, guys, and I'm focusing on here. I got to get it down to here so that it works. But yeah, so she said that Uber charged her. I want to make sure. So, okay, so they were sending texts for like 5 hours. Uber charged her $205 for the trip, on top of the items. That's how much she saw for Uber. On top of all of this, Uber only refunded her $100. Oh my God, you guys! I literally can't take it. She spends $3,000. She spends 205 on the Uber portion, but really the whole transaction's going through Uber. And not only is she screwed, but they actually say, well, you spent $205 on services, we'll give you back $100. For what? Because somebody actually drove over there and didn't show up or deliver anything. In my opinion, they didn't even drive over. And even if they had, if they have $3,000 of products gone, well, sorry. I mean, so is your pay. I don't know what to tell you. The welfare article I want to save for Thursday. By the way, Thursday nights, we do that on YouTube. There wouldn't be a way yet for us to do that on TikTok. But we do YouTube, Sean and I at CO Ride Guy. So check him out. I think he's here on TikTok too, you guys. So yeah, check him out too. But I want to talk about that then, because it also will go along with the increase, because we still to this day have not talked about the increase in SNAP benefits. I mean, we've breezed past it, but I think this article and that will tie together. And this one's kind of big because this was written by a professor in China, and actually the country is very upset about this whole article thing. Speaking of, everybody, don't forget, next week I have Ron on. Ron knows a lot about this stuff, and we always have a good discussion. And then the following week is Labor Day. Something big is coming. And then 2 weeks after Labor Day, Professor Len Sherman will be on the podcast. So, okay, so here's another Uber Eats lawsuit. So you guys are gonna love this one, because Uber Eats lawsuit claims drivers make other stops despite direct-to-you promise. I am proof of this. I will tell you guys my experiences. We just kind of go through this. So actually, somebody's actually created a class action lawsuit over this. Sorry, guys. So plaintiff Hassan Wright filed a class action lawsuit against Uber Technologies. Wright claims Uber misled consumers into believing that paying a priority fee will ensure that their Uber Eats order is delivered directly to them. If you guys haven't ordered Uber Eats in a while, I've never used the DoorDash app. However, but I've used Uber Eats and I've seen it. So it first comes up as, here's when it's going to arrive. And then it says priority. And that amount can change from 99 cents to $5.99. And it can knock off 5 minutes on the estimated one to 30 minutes if they're really busy. But again, it never works. And they allow people, this article's about them multi-stacking, like taking a DoorDash in between. We've even had people on this podcast who have said, I've done that. I've picked up an Uber Eats. It's not ready. I go take a DoorDash real quick. And they're watching me on the Uber Eats app, wondering what the hell I'm doing. Okay, well, yeah, so that's one thing. But I've actually put in for the priority before when I had people over, because I don't use these apps like that. I've used them a few times. But I've actually put in for the priority. Had a driver assigned much quicker than normal. However, the driver was coming from a distance. You watched him on the map. He picked up another order, and then he picked up another order and got to my place. And by then it said, the driver is on his way to you. After I saw him finally get to the restaurant where I saw him headed, where he should have been in 10 minutes, it took him about 35. So all the times kept changing constantly every 3 minutes. What the hell? So he gets to the restaurant where I'm ordering from, and as soon as he's done picking up there, it says, your estimated arrival time has changed. And this again was with priority. And it said, now your driver is estimated to arrive at blah, which made it another 25 minutes more than it was supposed to be, because the other two deliveries that he had picked up on the way to my pickup, he actually delivered before me. So I was the third of 3 food pickups, and I was the third delivery when I did priority. If I don't do priority, it's usually one person, maybe 2 stops, but usually just one, and they just come to me. But this guy's saying that, remember, this was already happening in California. They lost, but a new class action lawsuit alleges Uber misled consumers into believing that paying a priority fee will ensure that Uber Eats orders delivered directly to them. Plaintiff claims Uber falsely promises that consumers can pay extra to have their food orders delivered directly to them, when in reality, the company allows its drivers to make other stops along the way. Uber has reaped staggering profits from these misleading and unlawful priority fees, likely totaling in the hundreds of millions of dollars nationwide. Here's my thing. Why wouldn't you, if you're offering this priority thing, why wouldn't you just send it to him priority? Why would you piss off a customer? Why would you say, you know what? Priority means it gets right to you. But then you're saying, we got 2 other stops. We also need to do those 2 steps before we come to you, which makes you completely the lowest priority on what's going on right now. I mean, it literally isn't just living up to the term. It's flipping the term priority into, you are not a priority, you are last. I don't get that, because it is an extra fee. People are going, I mean, they have enough problem. Sometimes I feel like with the app, they're like, do priority, see what happens. And you do it, and it's like, that means I'll get it faster. And then you get it slower, and you're like, you gotta be kidding. Like, they don't care. I feel like somebody's watching through our phones over at Uber, watching us, and selling off facial expressions or something to other countries. I don't know. Like, how mad we get and stuff, because this is ridiculous. Also, Uber Eats, and I did confirm this. I just saw it in screenshots. Uber Eats no longer offers, at least in this market, this was a Denver customer, ordered on Uber Eats. They ordered 4 items. 1 didn't show. There is no longer an option to say 1 item or something didn't show. You can say something was soggy or wet, and hopefully I can find a way to not, that Sean and I on Thursday can use this screenshots of this, guys. I just need to check with the person. But I mean, you have 7, 8 choices. One of them used to be item not included. Now it's like all these other weird ones where that should be number 1. but it's gone. And guess what else? Now you can only have AI assist. And AI assist will lead you down to there's two ways of AI assist that I see it, or three. One is that you're going to get a solution that you're not going to be happy with, but you're going to be able to tell this is their way of solving it. It's done. They're not going to look at it again. And another is you're going to hit a brick wall that ends it. Almost like when you swear on the phone to to somebody at any your water company or whatever. You say one swear word, they can hang up. You've been on for 40 minutes. But it's like that in AI. You can hit the brick wall, not by swearing, but just there's nowhere else to go. There's a point where it ends. And then sometimes you can get the old school crappy Uber support, but they won't do a damn thing either. And these days, I got to tell you, you better have phone numbers like we have. I have my phone, like Uber critical support. I have these from back in my rideshare days. You better have those phone numbers in your phone, because you will not get on the phone with these companies anymore. That is one of their newest, favoritist things, is that they don't care about support anymore. In fact, they very much push it onto the driver. Like, instead of after the driver delivers here now, and it just drops, it says it's been delivered. Now it says that you have 30 minutes after the delivery to contact the driver. That's where it cuts off your communication to Uber. So it's just ridiculous, in my opinion. And I'm not even kidding here, guys. I would pay 10% more to companies that brought back people, or take a little hit on my money, or this, or whatever it takes. Bring back human beings. I am sick of bots. I am sick of, I can't even deal with you call a pharmacy and it's like the options. And if you screw around remember the old days when you could just hit 0 till an operator came on? You do that now, it just hangs up on you. So I don't know. Bring back people. I'll pay more for a service. Bring back people when I'm doing work. If I've worked this app before and I know I need support sometimes and it would shave time and help me, I'll take a little less pay. Again, I don't work apps that don't pay me well. So my earnings on DoorDash and some of these other ones are very low, because I work a lot of B2B, catering, curry, these kind of things. So, but again, I don't know. So now there's another class action lawsuit. And if you guys, again, don't think this is getting in the eyes of lawmakers, it is. I talk to lawmakers, to the TikTok world. Think you guys kind of know, but I talk to lawmakers all the time, been introduced to new ones. And that's another reason a good part of the conversation next week with Ron will be about that, because he was very much a big helper to Mike Harubi and I when we were dealing with the Massachusetts thing a couple of years ago. If you remember Mike's podcast that I helped him start, Be My Own Boss, we did like 50 episodes together, and then I kind of set Mike on his own with it, but I was helping him with a lot of things. And part of the crossover there was that stupid 3250 for active time for Uber drivers and Lyft drivers. And even this wasn't a illegal or a English as second language with English being very weak at best type situation. It was everybody. It was English as first language people. Like, people, unlike California and some of the other places, people were very much convinced they were going to make $32.50 an hour for turning the app on. That's just, by the way, that never would happen, because then everybody quit their job and drive for Uber. If you were able to hit on, yeah. But the argument discloses priority customers that although they are paying higher fees, Uber Eats couriers may be simultaneously delivering orders for other platforms while also fulfilling Uber Eats. Yeah, but like I said, they might have a DoorDash, they might have an Instacart in their car, but I'm not talking about they're just being slow. I've picked priority, and I've seen Uber add 2 stops. So forget this part. Forget the part that they might be doing a DoorDash, and we know they do it. And they might be doing something else. Let's talk about Uber's allowing a priority order and then saying, "Oh yeah, add 2 more to that before he gets his delivery." That makes sense. So yeah, a lot more will come out about this too. Let me see, what else did I have for today? I think hey, the Sergio thing, the gig you. Oh, and there's a chance. They've been approaching me for a long time. I've talked to them at Podcast Movement before. You guys can't see. Here, I'll give you guys a view. So I've been with Podbean since episode 1 for the audio podcast, but Blueberry is another hosting platform that has a ton of things, and they have new live rooms and all this other stuff. Really cool. Integrates into some of this stuff. And I said I was never going to do it, but I have a connection over there who I've met a couple times at Podcast Movement, and they're pushing very hard for me to bring the podcast over there. So if I do, it will definitely have rewards. I wouldn't do it just because, but it will have rewards that will benefit all of you too. So might be happening. It was something I hoped I didn't have to. Podbean, what up? Step up. I've been with you guys since May of 2020, a month into the pandemic, Podbean. But you're at least going to have to match 90% or 80% of what can happen here, because this game upped big time and they've already been up there. So it's not a threat, it's a promise. That's a wrap, you guys. Hey, listen, if you guys don't know, Sean, Rideshare Zone, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Check him out on YouTube. Maybe one day he'll come to TikTok and do some things too. I don't know. I can't make that promise for Sean. Then Sean and I do something on Thursday night too. It's on YouTube. So you TikTokers, you please come over. That's at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on YouTube on Rideshare Rodeo. So that said, you guys, on TikTok, be good. Okay. And to you guys, yeah. Let me see. Did I have anything else I want to talk about? Because this is serious. And I've talked with some of you about this too. Like this, if I go to Podcast Movement, and here, I'll have to show you. If I go to Podcast Movement and I talk to Podbean, where I've hosted forever, and they're saying, "Oh, here's a water bottle." Then I go over to the Blueberry table, and they're like, "Here's a backpack. Here's 5 water bottles. They're the real BPA ones, and the other one isn't." They're like giving me tons of stuff. They're like, "Come over here." Plus, they actually do a thing where they gauge the size of your podcast, the amount of downloads and things like that, and see if they'll take everybody. But they want to hook up podcasts that are doing things. So I'm definitely getting some attention. I think that probably what happened is, just so you all are aware, that the Podbean, once Podbean took down Podbean Live, I think that Blueberry started looking into some of the connections they've made or people that they've met, like myself and whatnot, and started coming at those people and saying, "Hey, not only do we still have the live feed, but we got video, we got all kinds of cool stuff you guys can be doing." And it's a tough decision. I'm gonna yeah. See, Sue says she misses Podbean Live too, and I have tried something else. I'm not even gonna tell you guys what it is yet, because it might end. I'm off TikTok right now, or I mean, it ended is what I mean. But I might start doing. We did a lot of things with music over there. I might start doing a music thing on TikTok, because like playing music and talking about some news in between, like a little DJ thing on one of the days of the week. That might be my live on TikTok, because everything's changed over there, and that's one of the things they still allow. So anyway, yeah, we have the Substack for Perfect Union, that they investigated Uber. It's worse than the last time. That goes along with Len Sherman's article. And I'll put the Medium article to Len Sherman in the Discord if I haven't already. And then I want to bring in the welfare and the that the professor talked about in China, and talk about why, the SNAP benefits things has become such a big, because we are the ones who, or a lot of the platforms, not necessarily you, me, but we are the ones delivering the SNAP benefit programs for Instacart. What the hell? But now we're the biggest recipients? And again, it's weird because I don't do Instacart. I'm on it. I can, but I can't take an offer because they all suck. So I turn it on. If I was on SNAP benefits, I might be one of the people working Instacart. I'm not on SNAP benefits. I'm on the gig apps, and I don't use Instacart. So is it people using Instacart who are on the SNAP? I don't even get this, because Instacart has never made sense to me. I know some people had it very lucky in some cities because they didn't get bots as quick as we did. Denver gets the bots really quick. We're a big city, they real quick, the bots populate the crap out of things they can. And for some reason, Instacart was just populated, even like once the pandemic hit, that was it. Instacart was done. If you weren't buying bots, you can't make money here. Again, there are people making money on Instacart, but not here. Anyway, you guys, that's it for the week. I see that we have a bunch of people in here. I don't know who's on what platform, but there's 56 in here right now. I'm off TikTok. Yeah, we still got Facebook, LinkedIn, and X going. I can't see the split, but thank you everybody for joining. That's another episode in the book. That's a wrap. And until next time, be safe, earn smart, be good to each other, and remember, lots of good things coming on the horizon. And the Sergio thing, keep it in mind. It's only gonna be once a month. It's gonna be something that we can all do together if you're interested. If you're not interested, don't do it. That's my take. And with that said, guys, we out. Peace.
Well, just a humble cowboy. I don't drive no truck or tractor, but when it comes to rideshare, I'm a legendary factor. I'm Steve from the Rideshare Rodeo. I know the roads like my kin, helping all them drivers out there make that mileage spin. From Nashville to LA, I've seen it all, my friend. Late nights and early mornings, driving till the daylight ends. I've heard all the stories, shared a laugh or two with them rideshare cowboys out there hustling for their due. Saddle up, my friends, it's time to ride. The Rideshare Rodeo, changing lives. We navigate the highways through the city lights of ways.